Testing 1, 2, 3 sounds good to me. If William McNeil Jr. had flinched instead of folded, would we be mourning a hashtag instead of unpacking a headline? Be right back.
DJ, sizzle, ham and organ swells. They say stay calm, stay still, but I stay silent and still got busted. Not my voice, not my hands, but my window. Let's talk about what really shattered that day.
I was driving with my peace in my chest, hands on the wheel, no drama, no mess. Asked why I didn't raise my tone, but they called back up like I broke a home. I kept it clear, I kept it cool, but my calm just rewrote their rule. Didn't fight, didn't flee, didn't spit, didn't curse, but they shattered my glass like I struck them first. You busted windows out my car, but I was the one behind bars. Told the truth, took the hit, now I wear these scars like a twist. Ooh, busted windows out my ride, but you can't bust the fire inside. I stayed still, you went too far. Now justice riding shotgun in my car.
Back fast, tip but blessed.
Still riding through the mess. They broke the glass, not the system behind. Cracked the pane, but truth still shines. Said supervisor, they heard resist and swung with fist. I still can't miss.
9 stitches, chipped tooth, lost time, and they say justice is blind.
Can't sue silence, can't plead grace when calm don't save a black man's face. So now I'm speaking in this key for every voice they tried to beat from me. You busted windows out my car, but heaven caught the final bars. Thought you broke me, thought I'd bend, but baby I was built to transcend. Crack my skin, but not my soul. I got grace and fire in control. Keep your badge, I've got my scars, and angels are riding in this car.
They said he should have complied with what? Silence, suffering. He stayed calm, still got the cage.
This ain't just about a window glass, it's about shame, power and pain that lasts. So I'm loud now, righteous and raw. You broke glass, but not the law of all. You busted windows out my car, but now my voice goes twice as far. You took my quiet, gave me flame. Now every note goes scream my name. You broke the glass, bruised my pride, but justice and grace still collide. Write it down, make it known. You can break a window, not a throne. Still riding, still praising, still fight. Still fight, breaks it up, walk away. Still praising, still fighting. Bro, still fighting.
Window to injustice. What would have happened if McNeil fought back? Welcome to Unorganized Chaos Network. I am the evangelist of entertainment. This is a whosoever will zone. All are welcome here, especially if you are gay, straight, crippled, or crazy. This is where absolutely nothing makes sense, which makes everything make sense. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on that notification button. I love you, I appreciate you, and I thank God for you. I am keeping Mr. McNeil Jr. and his family and friends and loved ones in my thoughts and prayers. I am a former police officer. I am no longer an officer, neither am I trying to um, um, be an officer. I'm sorry, I have a traumatic brain injury that messes with my concentration and memorization. That's why I write most of my scripts down that I want to talk about. But to McNeil, as a former officer, what happened to you should not have happened to you. And I apologize that it did. William McNeil Jr. is a 22-year-old black man at the center of a viral cell phone video from February 19th in Jacksonville, Florida. He was pulled over by deputies. He was pulled over by deputies who alleged he had his headlights off and wasn't wearing a seatbelt. This during the daytime, by the way. They had nothing else better to do. Let's go around and find somebody who don't have their headlights on during the daytime. When he calmly questioned the reasons and asked for a supervisor's, officers escalated the stop by smashing his window, punching him, and forcibly dragging him out of his car, resulting in a chipped tooth, facial injuries, and stitches to his lip. When did asking for a supervisor turn into getting punched in the face? He will never be the same after this. He'll never be the same after this. He has a chipped tooth. He will forever live with the consequences or aftermath of having a chipped tooth. His face was fine. Now he has facial injuries. His face will never be the same as it was prior to those injuries. He had stitches put in his lips. He just asked for a supervisor. In a press conference, McNeil said, "I was really just scared. I know I didn't do nothing wrong," and emphasized that he did not resist violently, but planned to challenge the encounter in court. With broad support from civil rights attorneys Ben Crump and Harry Daniels, his legal team called for the deputy responsible to be fired and for a thorough review of Jacksonville Sheriff's Office practices. My issue is it wrong to question an officer? When I was an officer and somebody asked me a question, I answered it. Somebody asked to speak to my supervisor, the thought of punching someone asking to speak to my supervisor never crossed my mind. Never. To be honest with you, part of me was glad, okay, good, you asked for my supervisor, let him deal with you, let me go on about my day. I'm so for serious. I mean, good night gracious. Now he has every right to challenge any encounter he has with any officer in court. He has every right to do that. That should not result in a punch and a chipped tooth. And the fact that Ben Crump and Harry Daniel has to call for the deputy responsible to be fired and for a thorough review of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office practices is a problem. That's a whole problem. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was supposed to have this was done February 19th. They should have did this on their own. Are these deputies who pulled McNeil over, are they the perfect example of how you want your department to run? If they are, keep them on your force, in your police force. If they are not the perfect example, why are they still here? The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has launched both administrative and internal reviews. Deputy D. Bowers, the one who immediately smashed the window and struck McNeil, has been stripped of law enforcement authority pending the outcome. What other outcome are y'all looking for? What is it that y'all not seeing that we're seeing? The state attorney concluded none of the deputies committed criminal misconduct. None of the deputies committed criminal misconduct. That's the state attorney. McNeil later pled guilty to nonviolent resistant arrest. Nonviolent resistant arrest. Guess who else was met with baseball bats and dogs and water hose as they was marching nonviolent over the Selma Bridge? Nonviolent. What's the difference between now and then? It's the same people in the same uniform committing violent acts towards non-violent people. McNeil later pled guilty to non-violent resisting arrest and driving with a suspended license, receiving 2 days already served. I have personally arrested people for driving with suspended license. Not one time did I think to smash the window out their car or to punch them. And of course, most people don't like going to jail, don't want to go to jail. Of course, there's going to be a little tension and resistance. I expect that. If these deputies should have expected that. Have y'all ever heard of de-escalation? Me, my tactic most time, just sit there and listen to them. I'm not getting paid enough to sit up here and argue with you and smash windows out the car and punch you in the face. That's too much paperwork, first of all. Cell phone and body cam footage show McNeil complying yet still assaulted. You can comply and still get assaulted. To those people who say, well, they should have complied, they should have complied, they should have complied. Compliance still gets assaulted. Officers allege McNeil reached for a knife before being removed, but video doesn't confirm this. Now, before I did this and wrote this, by the way, it's like 19,400 hours. I've been working on this. I watched that video several times, and I clearly saw him raise his hands after. And he raised his hands after they smashed the window and punched the window. Now, how is he reaching for a knife and raising his hands at the same time? Is this some AI generated stuff where there's an extra hand on him somewhere that we didn't see? So, the officers have lied in a police report. The state attorney still not considering an arrest. Every single police report this deputy has written should be thrown out. Every single person he has arrested should be let out. He cannot be trusted. He reached for a knife. Wow. You know what that tells me? The reason they put there or claimed that because they had nothing else to go. See, you don't have to lie when the truth will speak for itself. If McNeil would have done anything that would have warranted, which I can't imagine what they driver would have done that would have warranted, you punching him in the face, you would not have to create a lie. Because the truth would do. McNeil sustained a concussion, chipped tooth, facial cuts, and 9 lip stitches. He will never be the same. McNeil and his attorneys plan to pursue legal and civil actions. I believe that's the only way that some of these police departments are going to learn, unfortunately. Especially when there's a history of it, same thing over and over and over again. If you're in a case and you find previous cases where the same thing has been done, then don't feel bad. Go get them. Maybe when it hurts them, maybe they'll stop hurting us. Jacksonville law enforcement will hold policy reviews, and community leaders are calling for accountability and transparency. This case has ignited urgent debate over excessive force, racial bias, and the rights of citizens during traffic stops, especially in daylight when the violation seems unwarranted. No headlights. I can't. Now, I played cops and robbers for 13 years. So I can't remember not one time pulling anybody over for not having their headlights on during the daylight. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I live in Georgia. I don't remember it all, but Your headlight's supposed to be on at sundown, at dark. I think an hour before sundown. It's how the law is actually written. An hour before sundown. Most vehicles have automatic lights that comes on now. And if it's raining or any hazardous weather, maybe in Jacksonville they want your headlights on during the day. I don't know. Make it make sense. Maybe they want you to use up your extra battery. William McNeil Jr. did not commit a violent crime, but I wonder who did. He did not commit a violent crime, but he did plead guilty to 2 non-violent offenses stemming from the traffic stop. Resisting an officer without violence and driving with a suspended license. Court records show that lesser charges like possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia were dropped. Why did y'all even mention this? Reminds me of George Floyd. Now, he had done some horrific things in his past. But I don't understand. Or Mike Brown and the other ones. Let's say. So, what they have done in their past has nothing to do with what you're dealing with them for now. If we're going to bring up the past of an innocent, non-violent McNeil, let's bring up the record, the disciplinary record of the deputies who were very violent with a non-violent citizen. McNeil did commit minor infractions. There was no allegation of violence or threat on his part. There were no allegations of violence or threat on his part. The state attorney's office in Jacksonville determined that no criminal charges would be filed against the officers involved in William McNeil Jr.'s traffic stop. How in the world is this an attorney, let alone a state attorney? Did she just get out of law school? Let's pretend like nobody know anything about the law. Let's pretend like I tell you, hey, somebody smashed my window and punched me in the face and chipped my tooth, and I had to go to the doctor and get stitches. And then you're at the hospital, and the doctors, they say, well, we have to call the popo because you come in here with a bruised up face, and you're not telling us who did it. And imagine the officer that come in is the officer the one that did it. It's like the state attorney. Same difference. You in the hospital dealing with injuries from an officer and you report it. And the state attorney is like, the state attorney might as well have been there with the officers. No criminal charges needed. No criminal charges will be filed. It's unbelievable. Now, I wonder if this same state attorney would have filed charges if McNeil was violent. If McNeil punched the officers, what would be the response from the state attorney's office? The state attorney in Jacksonville determined that no criminal charges would be filed against the officers involved in William McNeil Jr.'s traffic stop, including Deputy Donald Bowers. According to prosecutors, the officers did not violate criminal law. The officers did not violate criminal law. Are you for serious? Despite video showing the deputy breaking McNeil's window and punching him. So you mean to tell me I can come to Jacksonville, Florida right now, break somebody's window and punch them, and you mean to tell me I did not violate a criminal law? Somebody make this make sense. Sheriff T.K. Waters stated that while force was used, body cam and dash cam footage did not support sufficient grounds for criminal charges. Sir, ma'am, we saw the innocent driver, Mr. McNeil Jr., get punched How is it that it's not supporting it does not support sufficient grounds? Anybody getting punched for any reason is sufficient grounds for criminal charges. Anybody getting punched in the face for any reason, unless they're in a ring, a wrestling ring, and getting paid for it, is sufficient grounds for criminal charges. Am I missing something here? However, the incident is still under review. Administrative review is ongoing within the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office to examine whether department policies were violated. Again, anybody getting punched in the face for any reason is a policy violation. What does anybody do to deserve to get punched? Now, I'm talking about a non-violent incident. I'm not talking about, okay, the deputies were in fear for their life. They saw the driver was about to unalive them or something like that. As a result, Deputy Bowers was stripped of law enforcement authority temporarily, pending the outcome of that review. Have no idea what they need to review, but God bless them. No criminal offenses, like assault or battery, have been legally attributed to the deputies, but the 400 plus punches, window busting, and forcible removal have triggered serious internal scrutiny and potential disciplinary action. I have an issue with the word potential. What do you mean potential? He did not potentially smash out a window. He did not potentially punch McNeil in the face. He did not potentially chip his tooth. The state attorney presiding over this case in Jacksonville, covering Duval, Clay, and Nassau counties, is Melissa W. Nelson. That's Melissa W. Nelson, Nelson, November Echo Lincoln Sierra Oscar November Nelson. Melissa W. Nelson. She was elected in 2016 and currently serving her third term. She leads the state attorney's office for Florida's 4th Judicial Circuit. Here's the official contact information for State Attorney Melissa W. Nelson, serving Florida's 4th Judicial Circuit. Just in case you might need to ask her a question, I've provided that information for you. Her address is Ed Austin Building. That's 311 West Monroe Street, Jacksonville, Florida 32202. Their phone number 904-255-2500. Again, 904-255-2500. Her fax number is 904-255-3061. That fax number is 904-255-3061. Her email is mwnelson@coj.net. That's Mike Whiskey, November Echo Lincoln Sierra Oscar November. That's mwnelson@coj.net. You can use these to reach our office for case inquiries, public records, or other questions. Just a friendly reminder, under Florida's public records law, all written communications to the state attorney's office may become public. So if you regard anything you're sending as sensitive, please note that in your message. Now, Benjamin Lloyd Ben Crump is a prominent American civil rights and personal injury attorney, often referred to as Black America's Attorney General. Is the founder and lead counsel at Ben Crump Law P. LLC in Tallahassee, Florida. Specializes in wrongful death and civil rights cases, representing families of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Jacob Blake, Tyree Nichols, and many others. Has secured settlements and verdicts in over 200 cases related to police brutality, and systematic injustice. He served as the 73rd president of the National Bar Association and now leads the National Civil Rights Trial Lawyers Association. He's named among Time's 100 most influential people in 2021 and included in Ebony's Power 100. The St. Thomas University College of Law was renamed in his honor in 2023. He's often seen as the forefront of national police reform efforts, working with families and lawmakers to shape public discourse and policy. He is the author of Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Colored People. He also had a Netflix documentary, Civil, Ben Crump. It was later Emmy nominated, and he is also a frequent media presence and an advocate and commentator. Ben Crump is a bold and persistent legal champion, lending courtroom strategy and media savvy to demand justice for families affected by systematic abuse and violence. His career stands as a testament to using legal expertise, public pressure, and moral conviction to transform personal tragedies into broader movements for change. There's no publicly reported. Okay, now I want to get to what happened. We thank God for Brother Ben Crump. He's a great attorney. Now, the day of the incident. Now, there is no publicly reported dollar amount estimating the property damage from this incident. However, the available evidence clearly shows Deputy Bowers broke the driver's side window of McNeil's car to gain entry. Multiple punches were delivered, including to McNeil's face and thigh, as he was dragged out of the vehicle. While the physical damage is evidenced in the footage, no official agency or insurer has disclosed the cost of the window replacement or other repairs. Similarly, there is no mention of internal tracking for such expenses in the administrative review that's currently underway. There is no indication that William McNeil Jr. caused any property damage during the traffic stop. McNeil did not cause any property damage during the traffic stop. All available records and media reports detail that the only damage documented was the deputy smashing the driver's side window of McNeil's vehicle. No other items, such as car interior, dashboard, or external property, were reportedly damaged by McNeil himself. In short, McNeil did not cause any property damage during this encounter. The officers caused significant physical harm to William McNeil Jr. during the stop. Based on documentation from multiple news sources and his legal team, the known injuries include concussion, chipped tooth, facial lacerations requiring 9 stitches to his lip, short-term memory loss, and cognitive confusion following the incident. Harry Daniels, one of McNeil's attorneys, described the episode as very over the top, pointing to both the broken window and the multiple punches to the head. The incident left McNeil still experiencing a cognitive decline, as reported by Fox 13. The total documented injuries: concussion, tooth damage, significant facial wounds requiring stitches, and lingering cognitive effects. These injuries are clearly attributable to the force used by officers, most notably the punches that smashed McNeil's window, broke through it, and physically assaulted him both inside and outside the vehicle. And that's what they did to him. Now, there are no reports indicating that any of the officers involved in the traffic stop were injured by William McNeil Jr. He was nonviolent the entire time. According to available footage and official statements, McNeil did not strike or physically harm the deputies in any way, but it's still under review now. Wow. The video shows McNeil complying with his hands visible when he was ordered out, not resisting or attacking officers. There are no recorded injuries. Excuse me. There are no recorded injuries or claims from any officer that they were struck, bruised, or harmed in the encounter. McNeil was nonviolent. The officers were not injured in any way from McNeil, but McNeil was terribly and wrongfully injured from these officers. The physical confrontation was entirely one-sided. Now, don't we have the right to defend ourselves? Now, what if he would have? What would have happened if McNeil would have fought back? God bless him. McNeil was assaulted by deputies, and there is no evidence he caused any harm to the officers. William McNeil Jr. has described, and his attorneys confirmed, significant emotional and psychological impact from the incident. Bless his heart. Intense fear and confusion. At the press conference, he admitted, "I was really just scared," and shared that a lot was going through his mind, reflecting deep anxiety at the moment. Lingering cognitive trauma. Medical reports note he suffered short-term memory loss and ongoing confusion, clear signs that the trauma continues well beyond physical wounds. It's the wounds that we don't see that hurts the most. Emotional dehumanization and lasting pain. As one attorney put it, McNeil was dehumanized. The moment that was not only physically traumatic, but emotionally scarring. Family strain and re-traumatization. McNeil's mother was so shaken that she needed months to watch the video. His stepfather recalled feeling as though it hurt. He was reliving his own traumatic memories from age 22. The psychological harm McNeil experienced, rooted in fear, shame, confusion, and cognitive decline, appears profound, persistent, and deeply damaging to his sense of safety and identity. And that should not be. He has every right to feel safe and be a strong black man and confident in his identity. They took that away from him. They tried to take that away from him. There is no evidence or official report suggesting that William McNeil Jr. caused any emotional damage to the officers involved in the traffic stop. The officers got to go. No officers filed emotional or psychological complaints related to the incident. No testimony or statement has indicated that they experienced fear, trauma, or distress as a result of McNeil's behavior. No, they wasn't afraid of anything. They was just angry and upset, and who is you to question me? Body cam footage and police reports did not show McNeil acting aggressively or making threats that could be reasonably interpreted as emotionally harmful. In fact, McNeil remained calm and compliant. Does these officers know what the word calm means? Have they ever been calm on a jury? What is their history? What do they do if anybody's ever asked them to speak to a supervisor? Do they immediately start punching people? Asking for a supervisor and questioning the stop, behavior that, while assertive, if protected under his constitutional rights, and does not amount to emotional abuse or threat. So let's be clear, there is zero documentation or public allegation that McNeil inflicted emotional harm on any officer involved. The officers involved in the traffic stop of William McNeil Jr. did not use any recognized de-escalation techniques. Can you even spell de-escalation? D-E-escalation. De-escalation techniques. And this absence has been a central point of criticism from civil rights attorneys and the public. McNeil calmly asked, "What did I do? And can I speak to a supervisor?" That's all he did. He asked two questions. Rather than de-escalate, Deputy Donald Bowers immediately smashed the window and began punching McNeil, escalating the situation in seconds. There was no verbal negotiation, no attempt to build rapport, and no time given for voluntary compliance. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has not cited any use of de-escalation tactics in its review, only that body cam footage was under administrative evaluation. Now, let me tell you what de-escalation would have looked like from just my perspective. Might be right, might be wrong, but this is unorganized chaos. What de-escalation should have looked like: slowing down the interaction. Why are we in a hurry? You're on the clock, you're getting paid. What you're in a hurry for? Slow down the interaction. Calling their supervisor as McNeil requested. No problem. Get on the road. Hey, supervisor, be en route. Using clear, non-threatening language. Offering explanations for the stop. If he asked you, just answer the question. Providing space for voluntary compliance. Seems so simple, don't it? It just seems so simple. None of these steps were taken. Instead, officers moved rapidly from verbal command to physical force, turning a minor traffic issue, no headlights during the daylight, into a violent confrontation. In the words of the civil rights attorney Ben Crump, there is no excuse for this violent assault on a young black man who was calm and cooperative. He asked for a supervisor, not a fist. The officers could have handled the situation with professionalism, patience, and de-escalation, transforming what became a violent incident into a calm, lawful interaction. Here's a breakdown of what they should have done differently. From my perspective again, from the unorganized chaos perspective. Start with clarity and be calm. They claimed McNeil didn't have his headlights on in daylight and wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Okay. Are y'all for serious? So you had to smash windows and punch faces for no headlights and not wearing a seatbelt. What they should have done is explain clearly and calmly why he was pulled over. Ideally, before making any demands. Say, hey, I'm Officer Unorganized Chaos. I pulled you over because you don't have headlights on during the daylights. And of course, I would expect the driver to look at me like I'm half-ass crazy. I would look at me like I'm half-ass crazy too for saying something stupid like that. Avoid leading with accusatory or combative tone, which can escalate fear and tension. Good evening, sir. We pulled you over because of a minor equipment concern. Let's work together and get this resolved quickly. No wonder what's the issue is. There's no way they're going to call this black man sir. Was that the issue? Is that why you couldn't use de-escalation techniques? Engagement. Use respect and emotional intelligence. Yes, emotional intelligence should be a requirement to be a police officer. Emotional intelligence. Instead, what they did, they ignored McNeil's calm request. McNeil had more emotional intelligence than they had in their pinky toe. They ignored McNeil's calm request for a supervisor and escalated within seconds. Good gracious. All they had to do was acknowledge his concern, pause to call or radio for a supervisor, and just tell him, hey, just keep both hands visible and speak slowly to him and avoid crowding the window. Ain't that's the fatal though? I forgot. Anyway, you're asking for a supervisor? That's your right. We can get one en route. While we wait, let's work through your ID and registration. Don't that sound, anybody can do that? Don't that sound simple? Would that hurt anybody to say that? While we're waiting, let's practice de-escalation, not domination. Hey, for all my beautiful black queens and beautiful black kings out here listening, if you ever get pulled over by a police officer and they don't seem to know how to spell de-escalation, respectfully ask for an officer who's experienced, trained, trained in de-escalation techniques. Or have your passenger say, hey, just call, ask for an officer. I want an officer trained in de-escalation techniques, because this one clearly is not trained in de-escalation techniques. If so, he ain't using it. I think that would help us out a little bit. Let's just let's see if we can get officers to wear a badge to say de-escalation, to remind them if they have a hard time with de-escalating. Use de-escalation, not domination. But this is what they did. They decided to break his window, punch McNeil in the face, and drag him out violently because he asked for a supervisor. They didn't allow any time for voluntary compliance. They didn't use any tactical patience. Not every delay is resistance. Some people are just slow. Seriously, slow to moving, slow at hearing, slow at responding. Maybe he had to think this through. It's okay. You got all day. But if I'm on a 12-hour shift and you want to spend 11 hours and 45 minutes sitting in your car, they ain't got nothing to do with me. Like I said, I'm getting paid regardless. I'm not about to sit here and argue with you and smash one of some punch out. At the end of the day, guess what? I go home, you go to jail. That's just me. That's just how I was. I got to the point I had been through so much. You know, maybe these are deputies, that's probably why they did. They just been through so much. It's still not an excuse. But sometimes officers, I'm keeping it real, get to the point where we just really don't give a F. We like, look, I'm here putting my 12 hours in. I don't care. Whatever. Use the 3 C's of de-escalation. Calm voice, clear instructions, compassionate tone. Calm voice, clear instructions, compassionate tone. No law or policy justifies using force when someone is sitting still, speaking calmly, and showing no threat. Education over intimidation. They decided to turn a non-violent moment into a bloody one. What they should have done, if McNeil had a suspended license, they could have just issued a citation, had the car towed, let him call for a licensed driver, avoid arresting or attacking when non-custodial options exist. Sir, your license is suspended. We're going to issue a citation and impound the vehicle, but we want to get you home safely without incident. Would you all agree with me that that's a pretty cool statement that an officer should make? You know, it don't require strength to be an officer. It requires self-control. Let's try that. McNeil wasn't armed. He wasn't violent. He wasn't aggressive. The officers escalated a peaceful moment into a violent encounter when all they had to do was listen, explain, and wait. Now, there are no publicly reported details on the exact amount of financial damage the deputies caused William McNeil Jr. However, we can broadly outline the types of economic harms he likely suffered. Vehicle repairs, of course, they smashed out his window. Medical bills, of course. Lost wages and transportation, future costs, potential ongoing therapy. I have been in therapy since 2022. I talk to Jesus on Sundays and my therapist on Mondays. Potential ongoing therapy, cognitive rehab, or dental work adds another unpredictable layer of cost. Now, these are just some of the things There is no confirmed estimate, receipts, insurance claims, or court judgment. Just some of the things that came up with as I was writing. The eternal review in any subsequent civil suit may eventually quantify actual monetary damages. There is no report from police statements, internal documents, or media coverage indicating that William McNeil Jr. inflicted any financial damage on the officers involved in the traffic stop. So McNeil didn't cause y'all any financial damage, but y'all still decided to cause him financial damage. But you don't want him to do or say anything. No claims were made by officers for loss of personal property, damaged equipment, or out-of-pocket expenses. The body cam footage and police reports show that McNeil remained calm and compliant, did not physically strike anyone, damage police gear, or attempt to flee. Officers have not filed any financial claims related to the incident in any publicly released information. No financial harm to the officers has been documented or alleged in this case. If the officers involved in William McNeil Jr. case were not law enforcement and did the exact same actions, breaking his car window, punching him repeatedly, dragging him out, and injuring him, they would likely face multiple criminal charges under Florida law. They would have been charged for aggravated battery, inflicting great bodily harm, permanent disfigurement, or disability. McNeil suffered a concussion, chipped tooth, 9 stitches, and memory loss. This elevates it from simple battery to aggravated battery, a second-degree felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Felony criminal mischief, willful and malicious damage to another's property over $200. Smashing his car window would likely qualify. Damages over $200 equals third-degree felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Assault and battery. Now, y'all wonderful state attorney in Jacksonville said there was no criminal acts. That Deborah did not do any criminal acts. So one of y'all call her and let her know these laws. It's just a simple Google search. Assault and battery, unlawfully touching or striking someone. Multiple punches, especially to the face, would count as misdemeanor battery at minimum, but could escalate to felony battery if a prior record exists of serious harm was caused. False imprisonment, restraining a person against their will without legal authority. Restraining a person against their will without legal authority. Restraining a person against their will without legal authority. Forcibly removing McNeil from his vehicle without legal justification could qualify as false imprisonment, a third-degree felony. Armed burglary, entering a vehicle to commit a crime without permission. They certainly did that. Enter his vehicle to commit battery. Since the act involved unlawfully entering the car and committing assault, prosecutors might also charge for burglary, a felony punishable by up to 15 years. If regular civilians had done what those officers did to McNeil with no badge to shield them, they'll likely be arrested immediately and face multiple felony charges, possibly totaling decades in prison. I wonder if these officers who committed this violent assault on non-violent McNeil, if they have ever arrested anybody for armed burglary, aggravated assault, battery, false imprisonment. I wonder if these same officers ever arrested anybody for doing the same thing that they just did. If William McNeil Jr. had been white, history and decades of documented data suggest that the outcome of the traffic stop would have been dramatically different. While we can't guarantee individual intent, we can examine patterns, court records, body cam data, and Department of Justice investigations to draw clear conclusions. Based on national patterns, if McNeil were white, The most likely outcome would have been no window broken, no punches thrown. Officers are statistically less likely to escalate to physical force during routine traffic stops involving white drivers, even when those drivers question authority. He just asked for a supervisor. I've seen videos on YouTube with white drivers cussing officers out and everything. They just standing there. Like, calm down. They know de-escalation techniques then. Do they lose all their brain cells when it comes to us, people that look like us? I mean, even when they refuse to exit their vehicle or express frustration, they're so calm, cool, and collected, these officers. McNeil were white, a citation or a warning probably would have been issued. Data shows that white drivers are more likely to receive a warning or lesser consequence for infractions, especially like driving with a suspended license, not wearing a seatbelt, equipment violations, like headlights during the daylight. Wow. Requests for a supervisor would have been granted. Studies show officers are more likely to honor procedural requests from white drivers, including asking for a supervisor, without interpreting it as aggression or noncompliance. Statistics go back in use of force. Black drivers are over 2 times more likely to have force used against them during traffic stops compared to white drivers. That's from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. White drivers are less likely to be searched, arrested, or have their cars impounded even when violations occur. That's according to the Stanford Open Policing Project. Black drivers who are polite, compliant, and non-aggressive still face force at higher rates than white drivers who are non-compliant or verbally combative. That's according to the Harvard Law Review. Philandro Castile, calm, licensed black gun owner, shot. Dylan Roof, white mass murderer, peacefully arrested, then taken to Burger King. Wow. Mass murderer, peacefully arrested, taken to Burger King. Sandra Bland, arrested for arguing, died in custody. Kyle Rittenhouse, armed, white, killed too, approached by police calmly. If McNeil were white, the likelihood of violence dropped significantly, and he likely would have been given a citation or verbal warning, allowed to call a licensed driver, respected in his request for a supervisor, or treated with less suspicion and aggression. Because race doesn't just color perception, it influences outcome. I honor my power by knowing that silence can be survival, but my voice is still a weapon of truth. In a world that smashes windows before it hears words, I am protected, I am resilient, I will not be broken. Justice may stall, but my worth will never be shattered. Proverbs 31:8-9. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. Proverbs 31:8-9. This verse calls us to speak up for those silenced by injustice, because if McNeil had fought back, his voice might have been buried beneath a headline. But our responsibility is to make sure it's not. I got a book recommendation. It's called The New Jim Crow: Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness by Michelle Alexander. This groundbreaking book lays bare how systematic racism has morphed into a modern legal caste system, where skin color can determine whether you're offered protection or punishment. It directly confronts the question, what happens when black resistance is labeled as aggression and compliance is still met with brutality? It's a powerful must-read lens for understanding the deeper roots behind McNeil's experience. Then go watch Fruitvale Station. This emotionally gripping film chronicles the real-life story of Oscar Grant, a young black man fatally shot by a transit officer in Oakland, California. The movie captures his humanity, the systematic bias he faced, and the split-second assumptions that turned routine into tragedy. Just like McNeil, Oscar didn't fight, yet he still paid the ultimate price. Fruitvale Station forces us to act. If silence isn't safety, what's left for us to do? Wow. If silence isn't safety, what's left for us to do? I feel a water break coming on. It's good for you. Get your some. A chilling, humanizing window into what fighting back often costs in a world where black lives are already seen as threats. Then I want you to go listen to this song called Baltimore by Nina Simone. With haunting vocals and searing lyrics, Nina Simone's Baltimore mourns the quiet violence and systemic neglect that weigh on black communities. Though released decades ago, its refrain, "It's hard just to live," feels eerily timeless in the face of cases like McNeil's. It's a song that doesn't shout, it aches. It doesn't fight, it reveals. And it reminds us even compliance isn't a guarantee of compassion. Black men are often presumed guilty the moment they assert their humanity, whether they speak up, stay still, or simply breathe. That's by Brian Stevenson, a civil rights attorney and founder of the Equal Justice Initiative. This quote cuts to the core of McNeil's situation. Had he fought back, the presumption of guilt might have cost him his life, not just his dignity. Window to injustice. What would have happened if McNeil fought back? God of justice and mercy, we come to you today with hearts heavy, eyes open, and spirits unsettled. We saw the window break, but we also saw the truth shadow with it. We saw a young man ask for clarity and receive cruelty. We saw calm met with chaos and dignity met with disregard. Lord, what would have happened if he fought back? Would his name be engraved on a tombstone instead of trending on a timeline? Would his mother be grieving instead of pleading? We thank you, God, that restraint preserved his breath, but we grieve that restraint did not preserve his peace. Cover William McNeil Jr. with healing physically, mentally, and spiritually. Rebuild what was broken, not just glass, but trust, not just skin, but systems. Turn the cameras of the world into mirrors that force us to reflect and reform. God, protect every black boy whose no gets mistaken for defiance, every why mistaken for a threat, every request for a supervisor mistaken for resistance. Give them not just breath, but justice, not just survival, but safety. And for every officer, neighbor, and lawmaker, breathe into them the courage to choose compassion over control, de-escalation over domination, and accountability over ego. Let this not be another viral moment that fades into forgetfulness. Let this be the window through which righteousness breaks in. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen. Let me ask you this. Why does a cracked window feel safer than a cracked voice? Why is asking for a supervisor treated like swinging a sword? And tell me this, what would have made headlines if McNeil had hollered instead of held his peace? In America, compliance is a gamble, not a guarantee, especially if you got melanin in your soul and rhythm in your walk. Black still ain't safe, even when it's silent. Injustice don't knock, it shatters. Your dignity ain't disposable, no matter how they frame the footage. Now stick with me. Because this ain't just McNeil's story, it's our shared struggle, dressed in Sunday silence and weekday rage. He ain't swing at nobody, but they still hit him. It's broad daylight, no headlights, no seatbelt, but plenty of fear. McNeil's hands empty, his tone calm, his crime being black with boundaries. So what did they do? Window shattered, fist delivered, peace evicted. He was non-violent. The footage screamed, but non-violent don't mean non-target. According to the Stanford Open Policing Project, black drivers are 20% more likely to be stopped and more than twice as likely to experience force, even when fully compliant. Now imagine if he had fought back. Would we be reading an arrest or writing a eulogy? What would have happened if McNeil flipped a tone, if he said back off, or God forbid, refused to unlock his phone? Would the officer have prayed first or pounced? Would his mama be calling a lawyer or a mortician? If a regular citizen punches you through your window, that's assault and battery. If a cop does it while you ask a question, that's standard protocol. Same punch, different badge, different consequence. Wow. Of course, somebody in the back gonna say, but he didn't listen. But what if he had a knife? Let's debunk that. There was no knife, no threat. Just a black man asking for clarity and catching hands instead of answers. Had it been Bryce, not McNeil, they had called his mama before calling back up. Even the state attorney, Melissa Nelson, said no criminal misconduct. Translation: if the badge fit, we acquit. But let's flip it. What if McNeil wasn't McNeil? What if he was you, or me, or someone you love? This ain't just his story. You ever raised your voice and got called aggressive? You ever asked for help and got handed a warning? You ever watched the window crack, not from outside pressure, but from inside grace trying not to explode? You know that look we give our kids? Don't you act up in this story. Now apply that to life. Because for us, survival is a strategy, not a privilege. We comply not to win. We comply not to lose our lives. And here's the twist. McNeil didn't fight back, didn't swing, didn't curse, didn't run. Yet he still got a chipped tooth, a concussion, and 9 stitches for being too calm, too black, and too aware. So tell me, what exactly was he supposed to do? Disappear? I mean, what was he supposed to? He literally was not doing anything to cause these officers to do what they was doing towards him. They were being violent towards a non-violent citizen. Don't that remind y'all of something? Then Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. doing non-violent movement. What if he fought back? They'll say he was a threat. What if he stayed calm? They'll say he was a threat. His window cracked, but so did the illusion that if we just behave, we'll be okay. No, that ain't how glass or justice works. So what now? Do we fold? Do we flinch? Do we fear every flashing light behind us? No, we organize, we mobilize, we publicize the hell out of stories like McNeil's. So the next time a window shatters, the whole world hears it. Silence is not safety. Being right doesn't guarantee protection. And surviving ain't the goal. Thriving with justice is. So next time they say, why didn't he fight back? You tell them he fought with his peace. He fought with his restraint. And now we fight with our voices. You know, McNeil reminds me of Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks ain't do nothing but just sit there. McNeil didn't do nothing but just sit there. Wow. And they both ended up in jail. But guess what? They both gonna change the world. So to all my beautiful black kings and queens, I'm asking you, don't just repost this, report. Call the state attorney and remind her what the laws are. I read them to you previously. Maybe she forgot. Who knows? She said there was no criminal acts. So just remind her, hey, we found some criminal acts that they can be charged with. Don't just pray, prepare. Don't just mourn, mobilize. Because this ain't just about one shattered window. It's about shattering the system that keeps breaking us. And that's the real window to injustice. Now go kick down some doors. Window to injustice. What would have happened if McNeil fought back? Thank you so much for liking, watching, sharing, and subscribing. Do me a favor and share this with at least 4 people. We are more than likely to become like the 4 people we hang around the most. The Jesus in me loves the Jesus in you. It's so easy to love. And may my whole life prove that God is good. I love you. I appreciate you. I thank God for you. If all hearts and minds are clear, let's go govern ourselves accordingly.
DJ, sizzle, ham and organ swells. They say stay calm, stay still, but I stay silent and still got busted. Not my voice, not my hands, but my window. Let's talk about what really shattered that day.
I was driving with my peace in my chest, hands on the wheel, no drama, no mess. Asked why I didn't raise my tone, but they called back up like I broke a home. I kept it clear, I kept it cool, but my calm just rewrote their rule. Didn't fight, didn't flee, didn't spit, didn't curse, but they shattered my glass like I struck them first. You busted windows out my car, but I was the one behind bars. Told the truth, took the hit, now I wear these scars like a twist. Ooh, busted windows out my ride, but you can't bust the fire inside. I stayed still, you went too far. Now justice riding shotgun in my car.
Back fast, tip but blessed.
Still riding through the mess. They broke the glass, not the system behind. Cracked the pane, but truth still shines. Said supervisor, they heard resist, and swung with fist, I still can't miss. 9 stitches, chipped tooth, lost time, and they say justice is blind. Can't sue silence, can't plead grace, when calm don't save a black man's face. So now I'm speaking in this key, for every voice they tried to beat from me. You busted windows out my car, but heaven caught the final bars. Thought you broke me, thought I'd bend, but baby I was built to transcend. Crack my skin, but not my soul. I got grace and fire in control. Keep your badge, I've got my scars, and angels riding in this car.
They said he should have complied with what? Silence, suffering. He stayed calm, still got the cage.
This ain't just about a window glass, it's about shame, power and pain that lasts. So I'm loud now, righteous and raw. You broke glass, but not the law of all. You busted windows out my car, but now my voice goes